Hello there and welcome to all my music and Christian rock fans out there. Tim Risto, host of the Creative Christians podcast, here with you once again. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these videos about Christian rock, and just as I keep introducing all my videos and saying it's just been a busy year for work, and I haven't gotten around to doing as many of these as I had hoped to do. However, I have had opportunity over the last, 9 months or so to update a lot of my music collection, and I've got some stuff I'd love to start sharing with you today. The reason, just as a reminder, why I do these videos is not to say, hey, look at all the stuff that I got, look what I bought, look what's in my collection. It's not about that. For those of you that already are Christian rock or Christian music fans, I'm hoping this is just going to be a walk down memory lane, some stuff that maybe you've even forgotten about, some bands that you didn't know about that you'll be like, oh, that's cool. And those you do know about, just be like, oh, I need to listen to them again, or I need to support that band again that's still around. But for those of you that are not familiar with the Christian rock music scene or any of these bands, I hope that I'll be able to present something to you that will pique your interest and that you'll check out and perhaps find a new favorite band, even though many of these are from 80s, 90s, early 2010s even, but that you'll find something of interest here. The Christian rock, of course, has a bit of a stereotype with always being not so great, and nothing could be further from the truth. Obviously, with any musical genre, there are albums or songs or things that are not as great as others and some that fall short. But Christian music is no different than any other field in that there's a lot of great stuff out there too. And I'm hoping I can present some bands, some albums, some music that'll pique your interest. Also, for Christians and for those contemplating things about their faith, these bands have some really rich lyrics. Many of them wrote their songs based on biblical themes or even Bible verses themselves or Bible stories. So there's a lot of richness to not just the musical writing, but also the lyrics themselves and the stories that they told through their songs. Some great stuff. So I'm hoping some of you will find something of interest in all this. There's really some great stuff out there. Today I'm just going to kind of give an overview of some things that I've gotten, like I said, over the last several months or so. I've got a lot of different stuff I've bought this year, but I'll kind of start going through a few things today. Hopefully you'll find something that you enjoy or that you're familiar with. Good stuff ahead. So let's get started. First off, I want to start out with Les Carlsen's solo album called He's Coming. Les Carlsen is a vocalist. He was the lead singer for the band Bloodgood. This is his first official, solo album. And Bloodgood was a band that performed heavy metal or hard rock from the 80s all the way up until last year. The founder of the band, Michael Bloodgood, the bassist and founder, passed away last year. And so the rest of the band decided to call it quits because really he was the primary force behind the band. And so out of respect for him, they called it quits. Now, Les Carlsen, who was lead singer for the band, had already started work on his solo album. And this is really a very fine album. Love the album art. Obviously, it has a very end times or Judgment Day kind of theme to it. There's Carlsen on the back. He's really a very, very good vocalist. He's got a real distinctive sound to him, which I know these days is rare and rare to find these vocalists that have a very distinctive sound. So many of them sound alike. And Carlsen's got a very, very unique sound, very, very good rock sound, I guess I should say. And this album is very good. It's very Bloodgood-like in its sound and its style, both in the writing and in the music, which isn't a big surprise because there's a number of guys, if you look on the back of the listing here, that were former members of Bloodgood. Les Carlsen himself, of course. Paul Jackson, who plays guitar on the album, he was the guitarist for particularly the later years of Blood Good, or the second half of its history, I guess you could say. You've got David Zafiro, who was the guitarist for the first 3 albums of Blood Good, and then Oz Fox from Stryper, probably familiar with, who joined the band for their last studio album, Dangerously Close, I believe it was. So it's a really good album, very Blood Good-like. So it's got a rock sound, but it's also got some mellower tunes in it too. But overall, got a good punch to it, good sound to it. Not quite as strong maybe as the strongest Blood Good albums, but still some very, very good stuff. I Want to Know You is good. Scars, Judas is Dead. He's Coming, and then even does a duet, I think it is, with his wife, Return Me to the Fire, the last song on the album, his wife Joyce Carlsen. And they've been performing together at some events too, I think Immortal Fest and maybe a few other places. So it's a very good album. I've got the vinyl. It's a black vinyl release, and it's very nice. It's a girder release. Very nice edition, and very good album. Well worth checking out if you're into that Blood Good kind of sound. Got the CD release here too, also by Girder. Nice release as well. They include these little trading cards now, and with a lot of their more premium releases, which are kind of cool to have. There's Les Carlsen. I like the new logo it came up with too. That's really pretty cool. Good album. He actually had another album out called 1971, which is recorded in 1971, but it was not really an official solo release. It was some stuff that he had done, kind of more theatrical sounding stuff back in 1971, and this was transferred from a cassette tape, I believe, that these songs were recorded on. So it's kind of a little different experiment, not really an official album release, and not Christian rock per se. But there's some interesting 70s vibe kind of material on here too. And this is a Digipack release, also released by Girder. Yeah. So kind of interesting, maybe a little bit more of a novelty, but really good to check out if you're a fan of Carlsen. But this, He's Coming, is really his first official solo release. Great album, worth checking out. You can go over to Girder Music to get that album there. All right, next up is the Austin, Texas-based band here in my neck of the woods, One Bad Pig. Smash. This was their debut album, I believe. I think they had a demo album before this, but this was probably their first official album. One Bad Pig was from the 80s. This was originally released in 89, and this is another Girder limited run vinyl release, their debut album. One Bad Pig was and is a punk rock kind of band, and I'm not a real big fan of punk rock, but they did win me over. I had not listened to this back in the day, but started listening to them a little more recently, and I really like this album. It's a cool debut album. One Bad Pig was known for performing at an Austin music festival. I forgot what it was. Again, this was back in the 80s. Might have been Aquafest or something like that, but I think they were performing in Zilker Park kind of as more of a joke. I think the group of guys that got together, I think, were doing this for more of a joke, if I remember the story correctly. Anyway, they ended up becoming very popular. They became kind of the buzz of the festival in some ways, and things kind of took off from there. They've put out about 5 or 6 albums maybe. The last one, I think, was in the early 2010s or 2017 or something like that. This is the only one of theirs that I have. They're a fun band, but you have to like the more rapid pace, punk sound of lyrics and pace of the music. This one grew on me, so I really, really like it. Got a great insert in it with the lyric sheet. And this particular edition is done on a nice pink vinyl. I think they also have another variant of this done in a green vinyl edition, which matches the the album art. The pink, of course, for the pig, and the green and the lettering here. But shout out to my friend Thomas, if you're watching or listening. I know you're a One Bad Pig fan, so Here, this one's for you. Also have the cassette. Or I'm sorry, the cassette. Man, that takes me back. Have the CD of One Bad Pig from their Girder's Legend of Rock series. Nice addition, and again, this particular one has a little trading card with it. So kind of cool when they include these. I'd written them to see some time ago if they were going to put out like a binder of some sort, a Girder Records binder that you could put all these things in. And they're kind of sarcastic in their customer service. And so I wrote back, so yeah, it's coming out tomorrow, actually. And of course, you check the website, there's nothing there. Not the best customer service. They're running a lot of issues with Girder. Great products. Customer service leaves a little something to be desired. Maybe some of you have encountered that as well and know what I'm talking about. But they do put out a good product, so you kind of put up with some of that. Just wish they could tweak their customer service a little bit better, not be so sarcastic or kind of rude sometimes. But that's an aside. Don't mean to go off on all that. But anyway, great products that they do put out from bands that really deserve to be seen and heard better. One Bad Pig, great band. If you're into punk, check them out. I think most people, when they think of Christian hard rock or Christian heavy metal in particular, they think of Stryper. And they were not the first, although they came around, I don't know, about 1980 or so. They were under the name Rock's Regime originally and then were renamed as Stryper. They really dominated the 80s in particular and came along probably in the early 80s that their popularity took off. I don't remember the exact year of Yellow and Black Attack, but they were not the first, of course. There were a lot of other bands that came along, even in the late 70s, that were more hard rock, maybe some little borderline heavy metal, and some of their discographies and some of those bands. Jerusalem, Swedish band, is a great band that I followed. They came along in the mid to late 70s, and they had a number of great albums out. They're a little more hard rock. They started off a little more rock style and then moved into more hard rock and even some borderline metal in the 80s with, late 80s, I think it was, with Dancing on the Head of the Serpent. Great band. I hope to do a video on their discography because they've got wonderful stuff. And I think they're working on a new album, be coming out maybe next year, possibly, hopefully. Great stuff. They were a forerunner before Stryper. Another one was the band Leviticus, which I did not listen to back in the day. I've only found out about them, well, not found out about them, but actually started listening to them recently. This is their first vinyl that I've picked up of theirs. This was their fourth album, I believe, Knights of Heaven. And they've got kind of a classic rock, hard rock vibe, especially in their first couple albums. Their third, and then this one, their fourth album, moved into a little more album-oriented rock, a little more polished sound. This one was produced by John and Dino Elefante. Of course, John Elefante was with one of the later versions of Kansas, and then went on, he and his brother Dino went on to produce a lot of Petra albums and all sorts of other stuff in the 80s and beyond, this being one of them. This album was originally from 89, and this is a Girder reissue. And yeah, it's got more of that polished sound of rock. Good album. I don't know exactly how to compare them to. Maybe a little bit of Judas Priest, but again, a little more polished. Their first two albums, I think, were a little more Judas Priest-like. Maybe some kind of Queensryche. They've got some progressive sounds, especially, again, in their first two albums. This one I'm still getting familiar with, so I'm having a hard time classifying exactly what this would be like. But I do like them. Different vocalist here than what they had in their first two albums, and maybe even different from the third album. I'm still learning about their history a little bit, but I really like them. They've got a good sound, and hard rock, Swedish band, similar to Jerusalem. So they've got a little different vibe that way, which again adds to it, the flavor of the band. Very, very cool. This is a Random Color vinyl release, again by Girder. Fortunately, it's just kind of this red album. I don't know if they have any others. They say random color, so I don't know if each printing is a different color, but it doesn't go at all with the album art, which isn't necessarily a big deal, but I like matching things a little bit. So I was a little disappointed to find out that it was red, but at least it's a cool looking red. So that's kind of nice. Of course, they have the insert sheet with the band photo. Bjorn Stigson, who I believe is right there. He's kind of the founder of Leviticus, and similar to the way Ulf Christensen was for Jerusalem, I think Bjorn was kind of the lead and forerunner and the one that stayed with the band throughout its history. I think Leviticus has about 5 albums out, maybe 4 studio ones and a live album. Live album wasn't recorded till later in their career, like in 2013 or something. But unique flavor. Again, if you like some hard rock, borderline metal, and more album-oriented rock, check out Leviticus. Like I said, I'm still getting to know them. I did pick up one of their CDs on a sale too. This is an earlier one from before Nights. This one is The Strongest Power. A little more raw sound to this. Again, they've got the little trading cards in there. Strongest Power album. Here's the original, actually, album art featuring, what was the track here? There was a song called Deborah and Barak. So it's kind of almost a cartoony version of Deborah and Barak from the second song on this album. Leviticus is worth checking out if you like rock, hard rock, and kind of a little bit of progressive rock sound. They're really worth checking out. Again, short discography, only about 5 albums, but a lot of variants in those 5 albums in terms of studio recordings, a live album, and then the vocalist changing 3 different times. But neat group, worth checking out. I don't think this band is still performing or still together. I think they're pretty well done. But again, some good music, and their music is a little more hit or miss on some songs. There's some songs I really like, and then they'll be followed up by one that's like, yeah, that's okay. And then there's a couple skips usually on each album. But again, depends upon your preference, depends upon what you like style. The ones that are worth listening to, that are worth really that really capture my attention, I should say, are very good. So check out Leviticus. All right, next up is the band XALT. This is one I am also not terribly familiar with. They came out in the 80s and late 80s, I believe it was, and into the 90s. So I did not listen to them back then. This is a recent find for me. I'm just becoming familiar with them. This was their first album here that I got on CD a little while back called Dark War. Girder Retroactive put these albums out. This was an album that became, went out of print, was really hard to find, and so Girder releasing it kind of brought it back to everybody's attention. That's kind of why and how I found out about it. This had different album art, Retroactive, of course, redesigned the art, made some beautiful, beautiful cover art for it. They put these out on CD and vinyl. I've just started to listen to this one. I got this a few months ago, but I've just started to listen to XALT. So they're a hard rock, kind of heavy metal band. This album here, this first one, has a raw sound to it. They're really good. God in the Box, The Cross, some great tunes on here. Soldier in the Mist, Dark War, and they've also got 6 demos on this particular release of Dark War. So I picked that one up. Then their second album, Under the Ruins, I got both of these CDs on a sale many months ago, and they're good. They're really good. This one has 11 tracks on, including this bonus track. Take a look on track 11 there. But they're good hard rock band. They've got a nice sound to them. I really like them. I might like them, I think, a little better than Leviticus, but it's hard to say. On a song-by-song basis, there's a lot of Leviticus songs that to me are really strong, and I like them. Probably XALT as a whole on their albums, I like a little better than the Leviticus albums as a whole. That's my take right now. That may change as I listen to them more and more. But I was able to pick up recently on sale the XALT Under the Ruins album on vinyl. These guys came after Stryper had gotten started, of course, where Leviticus came before Stryper. So here's kind of a balance of probably a band that came as a result of Stryper's success, or that made an effort after Stryper came out. Here's from Under the Ruins album, the little trading card that comes with it. Here, what can I read here? XALT formed in 1987. Oh, this is a Michigan band. In Michigan, they recorded their first independent album, Dark War, in 1988. After signing with Pure Metal Records in 1989, the band recorded the sophomore album, Under the Ruins. The album has been described as traditional heavy metal, comparable to Judas Priest, Riot, and Accept. Quite right, and Accept. So there you go. There's a better description than what I gave you. But I like them. I like their sound quite a bit, and I'm just getting more and more familiar with it, listening to it more and more. But I think they're pretty cool. Might be something you like. Check them out. All right, finally, last but not least, I got a couple items, or 1, 2, 3 more items I want to show you. This one here, Daniel Amos Horrendous Disc, the Ultra Deluxe CD edition. It's a little box set that's on Terry Taylor's Bandcamp website, and it's a neat little box. If you're a fan of this, what was this, 1980s album? Famous one from Daniel Amos's discography, Horrendous Disc. This box set comes signed by Terry, and you open it up, and you've got about 5 discs, I believe it is, in here. You've got the deluxe edition of Horrendous Disc. By the way, this has been out for a while. I finally just got around to picking it up because I've been collecting Daniel Amos albums, and it was still available on his website. I thought it may have sold out by now. I know there was a vinyl edition, deluxe edition, that sold out a long time ago, but I was surprised to still find it there, so I grabbed this box set while I still could, because I don't know that they'll reprint anymore. I think Daniel Amos is done. Not positive, but so these are some of the discs that come in the box set, including this Live in 79 one. These are also, I believe, available separately on Terry's Bandcamp site. There's also this neat little 48-page booklet with, of course, lyrics and photos, and even some articles, some really cool photos from Daniel Amos, from this particular album and from some others. But it's a nice little box set. If you're a fan of Daniel Amos and a fan of this album, which again has a little more of a 70s, early 80s vibe to it, but it's got some cool stuff. And it's a nice box set. I think it's $50, $60, something like that. Pretty reasonable, all things considered. You get a lot of stuff. You get that deluxe edition of the album itself, along with the live CD and a bunch of albums of or CDs of other outtakes and alternate mixes and all sorts of stuff. So it's worth checking out. As long as I'm mentioning Terry Scott Taylor, I got to talk about his most recent solo album called This Beautiful Mystery. It's a beautiful, beautiful album. Look at that artwork. Gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. And it's a gorgeous album. Much more mellow. Terry Scott Taylor, of course, is one of the founders of Daniel Amos Band. So he's been around a while, big part of Christian music. This has got more of a folksy acoustic kind of vibe to it, but it's a really good album, some beautiful music, some very kind of poignant and even introspective lyrics, much more of a personal album than I think maybe we've gotten from him in the past, although, you know, A Briefing for the Ascent and other things where he talks about death and death of his father. And he's put out some really wonderful stuff. This one's just a really beautiful album, I guess, for this time of my life. As I get older, I can appreciate him getting much older and putting out something a little more, less rocky, a little more mellow. Now, you may not be able to see it all, but this is a beautiful tri-fold vinyl release of this album. I think there's also a children's book, if I'm not mistaken, that you can buy to go along with this. Yes, here it is. I have not looked that up yet. The vinyl, of course, each of the 3 vinyls in this set is a different color. Really, really beautiful. And the album is just so well written, so well produced. I've heard rumors, I don't know, or read things online, I guess I should say, that this is likely to be his last solo album. I'm not sure if that's true, but if it is, pick it up. Last I had checked, I had bought the last edition of this that had been on the Terry Taylor's Bandcamp website when I got this, but then I think I've seen that they've restocked since. It's just a beautiful album, and it follows this kind of story that I think the book is based on. But I've only listened to it all the way through once. I'm looking forward to many, many future listenings to kind of get down the story and the meanings behind a lot of more of the songs. But I'm looking forward to doing that. This is just one you can put on and just kind of relax with. His voice is so smooth on so many of these tracks. He's got kind of that whisper sound to a number of them. But it's just, this is almost kind of a work of art. Maybe his magnum opus, as they say. Great album, worth checking out. And I can give a more in-depth review after I give it a few more listens. All right, last but not least, I've got this little record store find. Rick Kua's Wear Your Colors from 1986. Nice vinyl copy of it that I found for $2 at a local record shop. And added to that, it has, God bless Rick Kua, his autograph on it. Pretty nice find. This was actually shelved in with jazz. Somebody probably stuffed it there, but at $2, I don't know why. If they were trying to hide it, I don't know why they just didn't pick it up. Anyway, found this there. It's in really good shape. This is an album I enjoyed back in the day, and to find it autographed was just a bonus. I posted about this on a Facebook Christian music site. It got quite a bit of attention. A number of people mentioning that, yeah, this was his autograph. They had some stuff autographed by him, and it matched. Other people having been to the concert, some people having met him. Just a lot of cool things to see what people had to say, and nice to know that other people were touched by his music as well, too. I loved this album, and I think it was You're My Road was the other one. I have that one on vinyl, too, that I found for $1 at a half-price books. So for $3, I've gotten 2 of his on vinyl, and really enjoy listening to those again. All right, that's all I've got for today. Kind of wanted to show you some stuff that I've found, give a little overview of some of these albums, a little bit about what the artists are like, what the music's like, but hopefully just kind of piquing your interest, if you're not familiar with these bands and albums, to go check them out, give them a shot. If I had more time, I'd play some samples of some of their music. I may do that in some future videos. I do intend to start tackling some of these bands in separate videos. So like I've mentioned Jerusalem. I want to do a video just about Jerusalem's discography. I've pretty much got all their albums, and I would love to just do a video talking about that band, their albums, their music, and then do separate videos for a number of other bands, including Daniel Amos, Bride, Res Band, all of these. I've collected so many of these and have most of their discographies that I think it'd be fun to show those and talk about their music and get more in depth about the lyrics and the message behind these bands. I don't get to talk about that very much and just kind of going over the product side of things, but I would like to talk more about that. So I think I'm going to start doing some Christian rock videos about specific bands. See if we can get some of those out in the coming weeks. But anyway, if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, ideas for future videos, specific albums or bands you'd like me to cover or talk about, let me know. Anyway, hope you're having a great day. Enjoy the rest of it. Enjoy some good Christian rock music. And don't forget to read your Bible. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.